What's going on, gamers? This is Glitched, and this is going to be a quick glitch exhibition for Dark Cloud. So, the purpose of this exhibition is to kind of just go a little bit more in depth about the glitch menu that we use in 80% to warp to the end of the game and get to the last cutscene through the save menu. We can actually do a lot more with the glitch menu that doesn't really apply to most speedruns, but is really interesting to see, especially if you're a fan of this game and you're aware of, all of the different parts of the game that aren't normally accessible without regular progression. So what we're going to do is we're going to load a save, and this save is pretty much set up to showcase all of this to you guys. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of get a bunch of items that we want through the glitch menu just by manipulating the money value. We're going to unlock the floors of the post-game dungeon, and I'll go ahead and visit that quickly for you guys. This is the Demon Shaft. So this will be the post-game dungeon that has 100 floors. Most dungeons in this game don't have more than 25 floors, to put that in perspective. And you require insane gear to get through this place, like ridiculously powerful gear, because the enemies here are insanely strong and generally not very compatible with in-game equipment. You need to go beyond in-game. You need to grind. But we're going to go find a way to get to the final floor of this dungeon through the glitch menu without ever actually having to do anything beyond the glitch menu. But right now, I'll just give you guys a quick little taste of this dungeon. So, first enemy right off the bat. So this weapon I have right now has about 70 in my attack stat, which is plenty enough to beat the game normally. But let's see how it does against an enemy here. Not great. And these enemies themselves do a lot of damage on their own. That's a weaker enemy here. If I can find, yeah, someone like this guy. This guy's insane. Very weak compared to him. Not very strong. This guy hits for 100. Yeah, it's brutal in here. So we're gonna find a way to get past all this, and we're gonna get ourselves kitted up through the glitch menu. So let's go ahead and go back to the main place to activate the glitch menu, which is the first location of the game. This place is the spot for the glitch menu, mostly because you get this shop first. You unlock this location first. It's the first shop you find in the game, and all you need to get into the glitch menu is a shop of some kind. But let me briefly explain the glitch menu. So basically, imagine your inventory here as just a big data table of game memory. Inside this data table, there's even more data tables separated as items that you can move around, kind of like these. It functions the same. You can pick up and drop things wherever you'd like in your inventory, but the same goes for the glitched inventory. So just imagine every grabbable item in the menus have a set amount of memory values in them. So if you are in the item tab here like I am, then all of these types of items have about 2 bytes of data written to them, or in other words, 2 memory addresses worth of values. This attachment tab, these things here, these things you add to your weapons to upgrade them, these things have 32 bytes of data, and the weapons themselves have 248 bytes. So we need to know which types of items to move around, pick up, drop in these out-of-bounds invisible spaces in the glitched inventory, or the glitch menu, as we call it. So with the glitch menu, you can break out of this inventory table and access other parts of the game memory. So we start by activating the glitch menu by getting into the manual and entering this specific page, walking in a diorama. This jumbles up some stuff within the memory that allows us to grab a glitched attachment in this menu to break us out of bounds and allow us to access other parts of the game memory and manipulate things to unlock things for us, give us any weapon that we want in the game, turn flags on, turn flags off, things like that. So what we're going to do to show the power of this menu is we're going to use this menu first to give us a weapon that is in the game still, but is not available to the player. This is because this weapon was cut content. It was not put into the pool of weapons collectible through chests, but it's an unfinished weapon that you can still access and grab using this glitch menu. So we'll do that first. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put a couple items within the shop. So we're going to put the revival powder, the antidote, and the auto repair powder in the shop. Putting things in the shop like this, you see it gives it a red tag. That means that that's the selling value for the item. So it's basically saying if I check out right here, it's going to sell the item and give me 190 gold, as you can see underneath my cursor here. But we don't want to sell the item just yet because we want to manipulate the glitch menu to give us the item that matches the ID of that cut content weapon, which is a gun for Osmond. So first we're going to get out of bounds within the glitch menu, and we do this by picking up this glitched attachment here. We're going to press 3 frame perfect inputs. I'm going to buffer them because it's safe for marathon safety, but if you hold X right on the D-pad and R1 on your controller while it's unplugged and plug your controller in while those buttons are still held down, you'll perform that frame perfectly every time. And now it grabs an item called the steel hammer. So this is not an actual steel hammer. The steel hammer is a real weapon within the game, but this item right here is a glitched attachment that kind of just takes on the name of whatever is around. So this glitch attachment actually has broken us out of bounds already. So if we drop this item here, normally what would happen is your cursor would pick up whatever it's hovering over and drop the item that you were holding in place of that. But since I'm in the out of bounds menu, if I place it down, you see that doesn't happen. It actually just drops it somewhere. So where it's actually dropping this item is it's dropping it into the active items tab in our inventory, and you'll see that later on once we get out of the glitch menu and do everything. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to go out of bounds. So once we're out of bounds in the shop, this is when we can start accessing memory values and addresses that are deeper within the game's code beyond what we're normally able to get through just playing the game normally in the inventory. So we're going to push the inventory slots up by 4. And we're going to move our cursor through a couple times just to cycle through to get to a specific part of the menu that allows us to grab an item out of this slot. So whatever item we grab in this slot is going to be the item that matches the value of our money. So you see my money is 32,387. If I were to grab what's in this slot right now, the item I grab, it'll probably be like an invisible glitchy item like the same one that broke us out of this bounds, but it's going to have the value 32,387 written to it. So we can use this exact space in the inventory to give us any item we want in the game. And I'm going to use it to give us a cut content item because why not, right? This is the only way to get it in the game, and it's probably the only way some of you are ever going to see this thing. So I already have everything set up to give me this item. Another interesting thing about this space is if you drop an item into it, so let's say any of these items that are just in the shop that I don't own in my own inventory, if you drop an item in it, it writes the value of the item I dropped in it to that money value. So you see I dropped a repair powder. Repair powder has an item ID of 177. So when I drop it in that slot, it gives me 177 gold. So, as you saw earlier, I set up 190 gold worth of sales in the shop so that I could check out right now and sell the items to get a very specific money value, 367. So this 367 value corresponds with the item ID for the Launcher V2, which is the cut content weapon for Osmond, our final ally. So this is only one of 2 of his cut content weapons, so we'll grab both of them just to show them off. And we have to actually buy this because Gaffer's stingy. He's like, you're not getting nothing for free, buddy. You stole my repair powder. But it's fine. So we got that. So now I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of this little item I put up here. This is the active item slot. So whenever I drop the glitched menu starter item, it's going to end up here in one of these spaces. This little space is normally used inside of dungeons to put something in like a stamina drink, for example. If I wanted to use a stamina drink without having to open the menu, I can hover over it in this active items and press square. but when we're outside of the dungeon, it has no use. When we put glitched items and glitched attachments and whatever in blank spaces, sometimes they'll be put here so that we can either get out of bounds further or so that we can duplicate things. But since we've already gotten one of the cut content weapons, let's go ahead and get another one. So these two are actually connected. They are pretty much both the same line of items. The way weapons work in this game is by evolution. Once you have put enough stats into your weapon build, your weapon will have the ability to transform into a new weapon. So the launcher and the launcher V2 were supposed to be part of the same weapon line, but they never came to fruition. They don't even have textures, honestly. Well, they do, but not detailed textures. But we'll see that here shortly. We're going to put another 190 gold into the shop, and we're going to grab a different weapon this time. Alright, so let's go ahead and do the same spiel as before. Get to that item spawning slot for us. And as you can see, that's another interesting side effect or glitch that is done by the glitch menu. Whenever you pull an item out of the slot, your money value gets put to the maximum. The max possible value of money that you can hold in the game. So that's an interesting glitch to see on its own, but it's just a side effect of just the wider glitch menu as a whole. So now we need to get a different item here. So we need to put the revival powder in this slot to change the final digit of our money to 6. So the repair powder changed the final digit of our money to 7. This one changes it to 6. It's hard to get a final digit of a money value that's other than 0 or 5, just because of the way things in this game are. You see, most of the items sell for like 20, 200, 20, 10, 50, 80. Most of the final digits, if you sell these for half the value, this would be worth 10, this would be worth 40, this would be worth 5. So it's really hard to get a digit in your final slot that's something other than 5 or 0. But with the glitch menu, we can do that by dropping things into the slot. So I dropped the revival powder in. The same exact ID of the item, revival powder, was written to my money, 176. Now I have 190 money in here ready to sell. I'm going to sell that to get 366 and grab the second weapon that is cut content. Buy that again because stingy gaffer. And we are pretty much good on that part. So we'll get to seeing that weapon here in a moment. For now, what we need to do is we need to unlock all of the floors of the dungeon. So let me go ahead and make sure that we do that. Alright, so doing this is going to cause a lot of shenanigans. So whenever we actually go to unlock the 100 floors of the dungeon, we're going to lose access to our entire inventory. We're going to lose access to our map. We're going to be trapped here in the first town. We're not going to be able to even go to the final dungeon. But you can also correct mistakes or side effects using the glitch menu as well. It's actually pretty interesting. So we're going to go ahead and do the broken dagger glitch. So everybody knows about this glitch. If you've played Dark Cloud, you know what this glitch is. This glitch is the broken dagger glitch. If you move to this specific slot in your inventory in this part of the attachment menu and press right next at the same time, you'll grab an item that looks like a broken dagger, which is Tone's default weapon. But really, it is an item that has extremely powerful attributes. Pretty much you put this on any weapon and it maxes out all of your stats immediately because of the values that are written to this weapon, or attachment rather, are so high that it just maxes everything out every time. Doesn't matter what weapon it is, the maximum stats it has, it will max it out. So that's something that we'll see as well, a side effect of the glitch menu, or rather another option that you can take from it. So I needed to grab one of those just to prepare for what I'm about to do. So let's go ahead and unlock all of the floors of the dungeon. So let me make sure I have everything ready to go here. Alright, so let's go ahead and activate it like normal. Let me make sure I have nothing in there. Yep, we're good to go. want to make sure that you don't have anything resting in your active items before you start messing around, because it could throw things off. But we go down to this specific slot again. We're going to go ahead and get the glitched item to start off the process. Boop. Alright, so we're going to put this down here. We're going to press right 3 times in R1. This is going to get rid of our inventory. So before I do that, let me actually go ahead and upgrade these weapons. So right here, the launcher V2 and the launcher. These are the unused weapons in the game. As you can see, they have 0 stats, 0 base stats, 0 weapon HP, all that. So right now, if I were to equip this weapon, the game would crash because it has no weapon HP. It doesn't see it as like a weapon that I could actually use, and it kind of freaks out. But if I upgrade it once, it will give it some weapon HP because every weapon upgrade gives you a little bit of weapon HP. Now I have 3 on that one, and we don't need much to show off the weapon's use. And we have 2 on that one. So now I can repair these weapons, which I'll go ahead and do that before I get too deep into the glitchy stuff. And let's see here. Alright, so we'll go ahead and repair these just to get them ready, because I realized, oh yeah, I'm deleting my inventory. So I want to make sure I've used every item I need to use before that happens. So now we're good to go. We'll go ahead and go back in. And we're going to start glitching. So we have the glitch menu already active. But what we need to do is we need to pull down 1 extra slot for the item tab and place the broken dagger inside that slot so that we can pick it up and place it into a different value in memory that determines how many floors of the Demon Shaft post-game dungeon are unlocked. So now that we've gotten that place in there, we have to exit and re-enter the shop. And we need to move our cursor to the first slot of the inventory, swap to attachments, and pick it up from that invisible slot. And now that we're out of bounds, we go up. And this time, we need to just go to the weapon tab and scroll down. So scrolling down here, we're looking for an item called Sapphire. Once we see Sapphire, we'll know we're generally in the right spot to unlock all these floors to find that memory address. So it's a quick couple seconds of scrolling until we see Sapphire on that little item menu down there. We're just scrolling through a bunch of data right now. I'm trying not to pass it. I want to be a little bit safe about it. There it is. So once we find the Stonebreaker, that tells us, that's like our visual cue. That tells us, okay, a couple slots down from this is that memory address that we need. So once we find that, we press down 4 times. Or 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. R1 to go back to attachments, and we're going to drop it into the spot that determines the floors being unlocked. So we've gotten all the floors unlocked on the Demon Shaft just through doing that. So now what we need to do is we need to give ourselves our map, and we need to get a weapon to actually use in that dungeon. So first, I'll give myself the map, because it's not fun being trapped here. Normally, there would be a go to other area button, but we don't have that right now. But we can grab the bread and give it back. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 slots above the inventory. If we drop it in this particular space, it will overwrite the value of bread, 148, to the address in memory that tells us whether or not we have the map unlocked. So once I drop this down, you can see we can go to other area now. So now we have all of our areas unlocked again, including the Demon Shaft. And now we're going to give ourselves the most powerful weapon in the game, the Chronicle 2. This weapon is normally only obtainable by defeating that post-game secret boss in the last floor of the Demon Shaft. But it's kind of sad, you know? You don't get to use it because you already beat the game. You've done all the content, and now you get a sword as a reward? Nah, we're not with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the sword from the game by force, and we're going to use it to beat that boss. So let's get back in the glitch menu and grab it. So there's a couple steps to getting this one. We don't only need to use these inventory and shop menus, we actually need to also use the storage. So let me get my glitchy cursor here, and then we're going to go into the first slot of the weapons tab, and press right twice. And in this slot here, there's a bunch of really strong weapons just stashed away in the data. Whether or not they write, or whether or not they are other values that just so happen to turn out to be weapons, I'm unsure. But all we know is there's a lot of broken stuff here. So let's go down until we find a Martin Ines. Once we find Martin Ines, we know we're in the general correct space for what we're looking for. It's coming up soon. Sapphire. Martin Ines. Okay, so we're one slot below the Martin Ines. So we need to find the Stonebreaker from here. So once we see Stonebreaker, we're on our visual cue. There it is. So now we need to look for Buster Sword plus 2,000. So, looking for Buster Sword, here it is. So we grab this Buster Sword here. We can actually put it in our inventory and just keep it. So now we have the Buster Sword. This isn't the most broken item, though. This is just part of how to get it. So once we get the Buster Sword, we place it in the Weapons tab. And we're going to put a broken dagger inside of our weapon. And this will kind of show you how these broken daggers work. So look at my stats right now. You see I have like 6, 30, very low stats. This is the beginner starter weapon. But if we put a broken dagger in this weapon, or any weapon for that matter, everything is maxed out. Maximum stats, maximum anti-monster stats, elements, everything. So the reason for this is just because the value attributed to this broken dagger attachment, as I've said before, is just very high. And it will just kind of overload all the values that are on the weapon, and it'll result in maximum stats. So we need to put this in here to actually give us the Chronicle 2, the best weapon. So now that we have that in there, we're going to check out this Buster Sword that we got that obviously looks crazy. But we need to take some stuff off of it. So you see how it's full of just junk. These are actually weapons themselves. Normally you can't put weapons on another weapon, but when you grab glitchy items, you get glitchy results. But we need to put a couple of these attachments in very specific spaces in the inventory. Right here to be exact, so that we can kind of manipulate some values to allow us to grab the Chronicle 2 out of storage. So now that we have these in these proper slots, we're just going to go to Miss Hag's storage. We love Miss Hag. Nice lady. So, Hag runs the storage, and see, I already have some items just stored in here from casual play or whatever it may be. But since the inventory of mine is totally deleted, the storage menu is also pretty glitchy. So we're going to be able to go out of the storage bounds as well. And we will grab the Chronicle 2. So this weapon right here, this is the final post-game weapon that you get, the strongest possible. And as you can see, it's plus 3,355. For reference, for people who aren't familiar with Dark Cloud, when a weapon is plus, that means that's the amount of times you've leveled it up. So technically, this weapon has been leveled up over 3,000 times. So it's pretty cracked, to say the least. So now that we have that, we need to give ourselves our inventory back so we can go wreak some havoc in the dungeon and actually do stuff. So we're going to go back to old Gaffer, and we're going to give ourselves the inventory back through the glitch menu as well. This thing can really do everything. So now that we've gotten all of the stuff that we need, we're going to take one of the attachments off of this Buster Sword here, this Flamingo, so it's called. It's really the icon for the Brave Arc Sword. Or we're going to equip that to this weapon. Reason being, it will give us a value of about 25 or so that we can write to the address in memory that tells us how many slots we have for inventory capacity. So writing something to that will change it from what it currently is, which is 0 out of 0 to 0 out of 24 or 25, something along those lines. So now that we have that equipped with it, we're going to pull this menu up one more time. Press down to grab the dagger, and once we grab it, we want to hover over that slot but not use it. We're going to press right 4 times. Oh, 3 times, sorry, and drop it. Once it's dropped, then we should have 25 item slots. Now we have a kind of messy, glitchy item here that we don't really want to mess with, so I'm just going to put it there, just act like it doesn't exist. Shout out Closetowar. But yeah, as you can see, everything is crazy now. My stats are insane. Like, I literally have like 2 billion or 4 billion defense. My attack stat is extremely high from all my weapons. All my characters have ridiculous, straight ridiculous defense stat. This is going to come in handy for fighting that boss and going through that dungeon. So, now that all that is in place, we have our inventory back. Everything is pretty much set and ready to go. But before we do that, I'm going to make sure I grab some gear. So I need some repair powders for my weapons, some revival powders. I don't really need those because I won't be dying. But we'll grab a couple feathers so we can move around a little quicker. And we might as well go grab some stamina because there's another pretty funny glitch that I can show off as well. I'll show off a couple funny glitches. So let's go to Queen's. So Queen's has a shop that sells stamina drinks as well as some other drinkable items, just a watery type of shop. We need to come here to grab these items just to show off a few glitches from inside of the dungeon. Gotta let the daytime change, of course. We've been out here all night doing glitching. Alright, so we're going to talk to Susie to get some drinkables. We need a stamina drink or 2 and a bunch of regular waters, just because they're cheap and easy to hold. And now that we have all that stuff, to prepare to get inside the dungeon, we need to revive Tone. So he's in near-death state along with everyone else in the party, except for my boy Osmond, of course. He's always standing on business. But Tone himself needs to at least be alive so that he can equip a weapon. Because if I try to equip a weapon now in this glitchy state, the game says cannot disarm due to spell, which is normally a message that you get from within the dungeon when you're cursed, which is kind of like a poison type of status effect. If you're cursed, you can't unequip or equip any different weapons, but it acts the same in near death outside of dungeons. So we'll cure ourselves of that by using a revival powder. It's going to half our HP because that's kind of how the revival powder works. It brings you back with half of your maximum HP. And now that we have the revival powder used and Tone is alive, we can actually repair and equip the strongest weapon. And I'm going to go ahead and put this really broken dagger onto this weapon here. And as you can see, everything is beyond maxed out for this, including the weapon HP, which literally goes off the screen. But now that we have this equipped, our weapon gains the stats of maximum for everything. So now we have the most busted weapon, and we're going to show off a couple other glitches before we go straight to the Demon Shaft, because there's a couple other interesting things that we can show off from within a dungeon. So we're going to go to the Wise Owl Forest, and this will be your first kind of indicator that the 100 floor glitch worked, because you'll see that we are far beyond the bounds of the normal floor selection, and even Wise Owl Forest, the second dungeon in the game, has 100 floors. To put that in perspective, this dungeon normally only has 17 floors, but we can actually go on further than that, up to a certain point. I believe it's 17 times 2 once you get to that point, or rather 16 times 2 because this is a boss floor, maybe even less because of these. But basically what I'm trying to say is these extra floors down here are not just random floors that just are generated out of nothing. These are actually the back floors from within the dungeon. So we'll go through one of these just to show you that it's totally functioning and has enemies and everything. This is beyond the normal floors programmed in the game. But a back floor, what a back floor is it's an extra floor that you can access. I like my weapon HP, looking good, buddy. It's an extra floor that you can access on the back side of the dungeon, and you normally access that by a special item you find while looting dungeons. But since we glitched the floor counter, we can just access it through the menu normally. I'm also going to give myself the map back here. So now that we have the map, you can see enemies are here. They work. There's no problems with them. Everything is fine. So we're gonna go and find a fountain. Perfect. This is best possible scenario here. Maybe not, because these are moles, but we'll see. All right, so what we want to do is we want to do the time freeze glitch. So just to show you how time freezing kind of works. So whenever you pause the game, all the entities on the map freeze, but certain things don't. You can see the water effects are still unfrozen. It's the same as when we drink water. When we drink water, everything freezes for a moment, except for certain artifacts on the map. We can actually freeze all of these enemies if we end up inside of a fountain and drink an item on the same frame. And we normally can't drink anything or use any like health or thirst restoration items within this fountain because the game doesn't want you to waste them. It tells you, hey, you can already recover your health and thirst in here. Don't worry about that. But if you cancel the drinking animation with falling into the water, it will kind of glitch out. The water bottle will be stuck in your hand and everything in the map will be frozen. So I'll try to do that here. It's kind of a frame perfect trick, so it's a little tough. But we'll give it a couple tries. Hopefully it won't take too long here. Gotta deplete my thirst a bit. There we go, got it. So you see that I have the water bottle stuck in my hand now, but I'm stuck in the frozen state. Everything is frozen in the dungeon. That includes my own weapons. So let me see if I can find an enemy that's above ground just to better show off some stuff that you can do with that. This could be a floor of only moles. It looks like it. But here's some moles that are already above ground. I can just look at them. You see their little lamp on their head is spinning like crazy, but they're just chilling. I can't get hit by them. Nothing like that in this state. But one thing I can do is I can set up a machine gun of slingshot pellets in this frozen mode. So even my pellets are frozen. As you can see, there's the little pellet right there. It's like an acorn texture or something. But you can shoot pellets and back up in a line to basically create a barrage that's going to hit this enemy once I unfreeze time, which I can do at will. So we'll unfreeze time once we hit about 12 of these pellets. You see this is all lined up and ready to go for this guy. And I'm going to be locked on because it's your bullets have a homing effect on enemies that are shorter than them if you're locked on. So if I unpause the game right now, it's going to resume the status of the game and actually just barrage this enemy with all of the pellets that I had set up prior. So let's do that. So you can do that with any weapon in the game. It's pretty interesting. But speaking of weapons, we also need to show off Osmond's beta weapon. So right now we have just the regular snail equipped. This is a weapon you can get through normal means in the game, but we got these two to bring with us to check out and see what they're about. So right now they have no stats. I have some broken daggers that I could use just to show them off, so I'll take it off of my Chronicle real quick. And we'll see like what the maximum stats should have been for these weapons. So they only have one slot, which is not normal for weapons. Weapons normally have at least 2 slots, but these are the default stats that would have been for the launcher V2. And it only has 2 weapon HP, so I'm going to be careful to not break my weapon. But these things aren't fully textured, as you can see. They are they have like a base texture of green and red, but they don't have their details or anything like that. Even though they're rocket launchers, Osmond's default weapon in this game is the machine gun, and they're kind of modeled after the machine gun because they didn't really get that far in production of this weapon. But I'll show you kind of what it's like to shoot with this thing and do damage with it. So you can actually... Oh. Yeah, the weapon is so confusing. It's making sounds like it's about to break really hard, but it's not. But yeah, you can just do regular single shots with it, but if you had more weapon HP than 2, you could actually do just machine gun barrages with it. It's technically just another machine gun. You see it's got glitchy properties when I single shot it. But yeah, this is a cursed floor to try to show it off on because moles are a pain to deal with. But this weapon is basically the same, even though it's got like kind of a thumper look to it. It has pretty much similar stats. Let me see here. Yeah, it's just 20 attack less, really. We could put any attribute on it we want. And this one is the same. So that's kind of just showing off the weapons and showing that they are functioning and they work. I'll just go ahead and machine gun barrage the next thing I see just to show you we don't need this weapon anymore. So, see, it works just like a regular machine gun of Osmond's. And I broke it and it's gone. So this is my default machine gun. This is the weapons that they're modeled after. See, it kind of shoots just normally, just like that weapon I was using. It's using the same skeleton of weapon because it didn't really get that far in development. But it's interesting to see that we can actually get that and use it. So that's the time freeze, the beta weapons, and we'll go ahead and get ready to finish this off here. So I'll leave the dungeon, and I will visit the demon shaft to fight the final boss. So now that we've done everything, we are prepared and ready to go. So we don't need these waters anymore. We have our weapon HP going across the screen in every aspect. And we're going to take this guy on, and we're going to get our trophy weapon this time. So now we finally made it to the demon shaft. Everything is set in place. We have a super busted weapon. We're kitted up. We have 2 billion defense. Nothing can take us down here. And we're going to take down the mastermind of this place, the Dark Knight Pendragon. So this will show you that the 100 floor glitch also worked in the demon shaft. At the start of this exhibition, I showed that there was only 1 floor unlocked. But now we have all 100 floors unlocked. And that includes the top floor, which is where the Dark Knight Pendragon spawns. So this fight is normally only accessible by beating those 100 floors and getting here through a bunch of grind. But thanks to the glitch menu, we've gotten everything done, and now we can challenge the beast. This dude is the final boss in the game, the secret boss. He's got insanely high stats, very high health and defense, and he's got some pretty interesting attack patterns that are tough to deal with as well, especially with a melee character. But we're going to do it anyway. We're going to do the thing. So, as you can see, I took 0 damage there because of my defense being so high. But I'm going to try to get a charge attack if I can here. He's going to charge at me in a moment. There we go. 15,000 attack on my hit. Chase him down here. Bounces off the walls if he charges into them like that. 23,000 with a charge attack. We still take 0 damage. So there might be something interesting I could show here. Sometimes when you have such a high defense value, if you drink a stamina drink, which is supposed to double that, it's going to overflow your value and just make you take a ridiculously large amount of damage. But I guess it didn't work for me this time. So we're invincible. Nothing can hurt us right now. Other than that. Alright, let's see what you got, man. Bring it on. Ah, the counter attack. This dude's cracked. I'm gonna charge up. He's gonna come at me. I already know it. There we go. Now his mount is down, and it's just me versus him. He's got some pretty interesting attacks, but he's a lot easier to deal with when he doesn't have a hyper-speed mount going around. He actually teleports if you shoot him with ranged characters. It is terrifying. He'll teleport to you and just completely counterattack you. But he's a cool boss. I like him a lot. Unfortunately, he ain't nothing, though. And we took him down with minimal effort, thanks to the glitch menu. But normally, this is where you would get the Chronicle 2, which is what I used to defeat him. It's a trophy reward for beating the demon shaft and beating the boss at the end. It's the strongest sword in the game and has the highest possible maximum stats, but we actually got to use it for something. Normally at this point in the game, you've done everything. There's nothing to use it with, but thanks to the glitch menu, we were able to kind of show off its strength. And there's another glitch to end off the showcase there, the audio glitch. The game will just get stuck on an audio track and loop it sometimes in certain situations, but funny way to end. But yeah, that is the glitch exhibition. I appreciate you guys for watching, and thank you for the opportunity for submitting for the event. And I hope you guys kind of enjoyed seeing what wacky stuff can be done in this game if we know where to manipulate values within that menu. But yeah, I've been Glitch. Take care, gamers. Goodbye.